Chapter 1. The Man Who Shouldn't Be Alive. The diner was empty except for the drunk at table 6, and the couple necking in the corner booth. Typical Tuesday night at Rosie's, quiet enough that I could hear the ancient coffee maker gurgling its last breath. I was wiping down the counter when the door chimed, and he walked in. Walked wasn't the right word. He stumbled, caught himself on the doorframe, and left a crimson handprint on the glass. "Jesus Christ," I whispered, my rag frozen mid-wipe. He was tall, over 6 feet of solid muscle wrapped in a designer suit that probably cost more than my car. But it was the blood that held my attention. Dark patches bloomed across his white shirt, spreading like ink in water. His face was alabaster pale beneath black hair, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping beneath his stubble. His eyes found mine, gray, storm cloud gray with something dangerous flickering in their depths. "Bathroom," he ground out, the single word scraped raw. I should have called 911. Should have screamed for Sal in the kitchen. Should have done anything except what I did, which was hurry around the counter and slip under his arm, taking some of his weight. He was heavy, solid, and warm despite the blood loss. Up close, I could smell expensive cologne mixed with copper and gunpowder. What happened? I guided him past the gawking couple toward the single bathroom and back. Wrong place, wrong time. His accent was subtle, refined. Old money. Or maybe the right place. Haven't decided yet. The bathroom was barely big enough for one person, let alone 2. He leaned against the sink while I locked the door, my hands shaking as I grabbed paper towels. "I need to see how bad it is." I reached for his jacket. His hand shot out, catching my wrist. Fast. Too fast for someone who should be half dead. "Who are you?" "Elena. I'm a waitress, and apparently tonight, you're field medic." I met his eyes, refusing to flinch. "Unless you'd prefer to bleed. Out in a diner bathroom?" Something that might have been amusement flickered across his face. He released me and shrugged out of his jacket with a hiss of pain. The bullet wound was in his side, just below his ribs. Clean entry, no exit. I'd grown up with 3 brothers and a father who thought hospitals were for quitters. I'd stitched enough hunting accidents to know this was bad but not immediately fatal. "Bullet's still in there," I said, pressing towels against the wound. "You need a hospital." "No hospitals." His voice was granite. "Final. Then you need a doctor." "I have doctors, I just need." He swayed, caught himself. 10 minutes. Then I'll be gone." I looked at the blood soaking through the towels, at his gray face, at the way his pupils were slightly dilated. 10 minutes. He'd be unconscious in 5. "Sal!" I shouted through the door. "I need the first aid kit. Now. And don't ask questions." What I got was better. A full trauma kit that Sal kept for reasons he'd never explained. As I worked to clean and pack the wound, the stranger watched me with those unsettling gray eyes. He observed. "I'm terrified," I corrected, my hand steady despite my words. "But fear doesn't stop bleeding." He laughed a short, pained sound. "What's your last name, Elena the fearless waitress?" "Rossi." Something changed in his expression. "Italian?" "3rd generation. My grandmother came from Sicily." I finished wrapping the bandage, pulling it tight. "This will hold for a few hours, but..." The bathroom door exploded inward. 3 men in black suits filled the tiny space, guns drawn. I stumbled back against the stranger, who wrapped one arm around my waist, protective or threatening, I couldn't tell. "Mr. Marchetti." The lead man spoke with barely controlled panic. "We've been looking everywhere for you." Marchetti. The name hit me like ice water. Dante Marchetti. Everyone in the city knew that name, even if they pretended not to. The youngest Don, in 50 years. Ruthless, untouchable, dangerous, and I'd just had my hands inside his body. "I see you found me, Luca." Dante's voice was cold now, empty of the warmth it had held moments ago. "Tell me who sold me out." "We're handling it, sir." "That's not what I asked." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. I felt Dante's hand tighten on my hip, his body coiled with deadly intent despite his injury. Valentino Russo's nephew. Luca's jaw clenched. He's been feeding information to the Kozlovs for months. And the nephew's status? Swimming with the fishes by now, I'd imagine. I must have made a sound, some small noise of horror, because Dante's attention shifted back to me. His thumb traced a slow circle against my hip bone through my uniform. "This is Elena. he told his men. She saved my life tonight. His voice dropped, intimate despite the audience. I don't forget debts, Elena Rossi. It sounded like a promise. Or a threat. I was just doing what anyone would do. I managed. No. His gray eyes held mine, and I felt pinned, trapped, seen in a way that made my skin prickle. You weren't. Luca cleared his throat. Sir, we need to move. The Kozlovs. No, I'm hurt. No, I'm vulnerable. Dante finally released me, stepping away with visible effort. They'll be bold tonight. Double the guards at all properties. Nobody sleeps until we find every rat in our organization. He turned back to me, and for just a moment, the dangerous mob boss disappeared, and I saw the man I'd bandaged younger than I'd thought, maybe early 30s, with exhaustion carved into the lines around his eyes. Thank you, he said simply. Then he was gone, swept away by his men and leaving nothing but blood on the white tiles and the memory of his hand on my hip. I stood alone in the destroyed bathroom, my apron stained crimson, and realized two things. First, I'd just saved the most dangerous man in the city. Second, I had the terrifying feeling he wasn't going to. Let me forget it. Chapter 2. When monsters send flowers. The roses arrived at 6 a.m. 3 dozen blood-red blooms in a crystal vase that probably cost more than my monthly rent. No card. No note. Just flowers and a black town car idling at the curb outside my apartment building. I stared at them through my kitchen window, coffee cup frozen halfway to my lips. I'd barely slept, replaying every moment in that bathroom, the weight of Dante Marchetti against my body, the gray of his eyes, the casual way his man had mentioned murder, like discussing the weather, swimming with the fishes. I'd thrown up twice after my shift ended. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The roses are bulletproof, but you're not. The car will take you to work. Don't argue. No signature. None needed. I typed back with shaking hands. I can take the bus. The reply was immediate. You can, but you won't. I looked out the window again. The driver stood beside the car now, a mountain of a man in a tailored suit. As I watched, he glanced up at my window and nodded once. I grabbed my purse. The interior of the town car smelled like leather and money. The driver said nothing as he pulled into traffic, and I said nothing back. My hands clasped so tight in my lap that my knuckles went white. We didn't go to the diner. Wrong turn, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Rosie's is closed for renovations, the driver said. First words he'd spoken. Russian accent. Mr. Marchetti has arranged alternative employment. My blood went cold. I don't want alternative employment. Nevertheless, the car pulled up to a building in the financial district, all glass and steel and old money. The driver opened my door, and I found myself standing on the sidewalk, looking up at 40 stories of intimidation. 20th floor, the driver said. They're expecting you. I should have run. Should have called the cops, my brothers. Someone. Instead, I walked into that gleaming lobby like a lamb to slaughter. The 20th floor was a law office, Kingston and Associates. The receptionist took one look at me in my diner uniform and somehow knew exactly who I was. Miss Rossi, Mr. Kingston is ready for you. James Kingston was 60, distinguished, and terrified. I could see it in the way his hands shook as he gestured me to a chair. You're here about the nursing position, he said. I'm not a nurse. You have first aid training. You're good in a crisis. He slid a contract across his desk. The position is with a private client. Very private. The pay is 4 times what you made at the diner. Insurance, housing, and security included. I didn't touch the contract. What client? Kingston's Adam's apple bobbed. That information is confidential until you sign. It's Dante Marchetti. The lawyer's silence was answer enough. I'm not interested. I stood. Miss Rossi. Kingston's voice cracked. Please, sit down. Something in his tone made me pause. Not authority fear. He told me, Kingston said quietly, that if you refused, I should tell you this. The Kozlov family knows who treated him. They have eyes everywhere. You're safer in his employ than anywhere else in this city. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. That's a threat. That's a fact. Kingston pushed the contract closer. You have a choice, Miss Rossi. But both options involve Dante Marchetti. In one, you're under his protection. In the other, he trailed off. I thought of the casual mention of murder, of the nephew who'd betrayed them, of the way Dante's men had looked at me not with lust, but with calculation. I was a loose end, a witness, a liability. Or I was something else entirely. I picked up the pen. "Smart girl," Kingston breathed. The contract was surprisingly simple: 1 year of employment as a private medical consultant, live-in position, salary that made my hands shake. And buried in the legalese, one clause that made everything clear. Employee acknowledges engagement in confidential, work requiring absolute discretion and loyalty. I was signing my soul away. I signed anyway. An hour later, I was back in the town car with a copy of my contract and instructions to pack a bag. The driver, Victor, I'd learned, explained that I'd be living at Mr. Marchetti's estate outside the city. "For how long?" I asked. Victor met my eyes in the rearview mirror. "As long as he needs you." My apartment looked smaller when I returned to it, shabbier. I packed mechanically clothes, toiletries, the photo of my grandmother. I left a voicemail for my roommate about a sudden job opportunity. Didn't mention the Mafia. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. "Thank you, Elena." 2 words that shouldn't have made my stomach flutter. Shouldn't have made me remember the weight of his hand on my hip, the intimacy of his blood on my hands. I typed back, "You didn't give me a choice." The response came after a long pause. "No, I didn't, but I will keep you safe. From everyone but you?" This time the pause was even longer, especially from me. Victor was waiting when I came downstairs with my single duffel bag. He took it without comment, and I climbed back into the car that smelled like my future. We drove out of the city as the sun climbed higher, leaving behind everything familiar. I watched the buildings give way to trees, the highway to private roads, and tried not to think about the fact that I was driving toward a monster's lair. But monsters didn't send flowers, did they? Monsters didn't say thank you. Monsters didn't make promises about keeping you safe. The estate appeared like something out of a Gothic novel, sprawling stone mansion behind iron gates, surrounded by acres of manicured grounds. Guards were everywhere, watching our approach with hard eyes. Victor pulled up to the front entrance, and the door opened before I could reach for it. Dante Marchetti stood at the top of the steps, bandaged but upright, wearing black slacks and a white shirt that made his gray eyes look like thunderstorms. He looked at me like he was memorizing every detail. "Welcome home, Elena," he said. And despite everything, the fear, the contracts, the blood, some part of me whispered back, "This isn't my home." But another part, darker and more honest, wondered if it could be. Chapter 3. Stitches and Secrets. The room they gave me was larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the grounds, where I could see guards patrolling in pairs. The bed was king-sized with silk sheets. The bathroom had heated floors and a shower that could fit 6 people. A walk-in closet held more clothes than I'd ever owned, all in my size. He'd known I would come, had prepared for it. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, I felt something else. Something I didn't want to examine too closely. A knock on the door made me jump. Not Victor, a woman this time, 50-ish, with kind eyes and flower on her apron. "Miss Rossi? I'm Maria, the housekeeper. Mr. Marchetti asked me to bring you to his office when you're settled." "I'm settled," I lied. Dante's office was on the 2nd floor, behind a door of carved mahogany. Maria knocked twice, then left me standing there alone. "Come in, Elena." His voice carried through the wood, and I felt it like a hand between my shoulder blades, pushing me forward. The office was all dark wood and leather, walls lined with books in multiple languages. Dante sat behind a massive desk, laptop open, looking every inch the businessman, except for the gun lying casually beside his keyboard. "Sit." He gestured to the chair across from him. I sat, spine straight, hands in my lap. "You redecorated my room. I provided appropriate accommodations for my employee. You knew I'd sign. I hoped you would." He closed the laptop, giving me his full attention. The alternative would have been complicated. "Is that what you call murder? Complicated?" His expression didn't change. "I call murder necessary, when it is." "And me? Am I necessary?" Something flickered in his gray eyes, too fast to read. "You saved my life. That makes you more than necessary. It makes you mine to protect." "Mine?" The word hung between us like smoke. "I saw your medical records," he continued, as casually as if discussing the weather. "Emergency first aid training, 3 years volunteering at a free clinic. You dropped out of nursing school 6 months before graduation." Heat flooded my cheeks, anger and embarrassment mixed. You investigated me. Of course I did. I don't trust anyone I haven't researched. He stood, moving around the desk. Why did you quit? That's none of your business. Everything about you is my business now. He leaned against the desk, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Why, Elena? I looked away, at the books, the window, anywhere but those storm-gray eyes. My father got sick. Someone had to work full-time to pay the bills. My brothers were deployed, so it fell to me. Your father? Lung cancer. He died 2 years ago. Silence. Then quietly. I'm sorry. I forced myself to meet his gaze. Are you? Do men like you feel sorry? Men like me? A hint of something dangerous entered his voice. Monsters, I said. Killers. He moved so fast I didn't have time to flinch. One moment he was leaning against the desk. The next he was crouched in front of my chair, hands on the armrests, caging me in. Yes, he said softly. I'm a monster. I've killed. I've ordered deaths. I've done things that would give you nightmares. His face was inches from mine. But I have never lied about what I am. Can you say the same? My heart hammered. What's that supposed to mean? You could have walked away from me in that bathroom. Could have let me bleed. Could have called the police. His eyes searched mine. But you didn't. Why? I told you. I was helping bullshit. The word was harsh, but his voice remained soft. You stayed because some part of you wanted to. Because, when you touched me, when you saw my blood, you felt something. Fear, I whispered. Liar. He was right, and we both knew it. In that bathroom, with his blood on my hands, I'd felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. The danger, the intensity, the weight of a life depending on my skill, it had awakened something I'd thought died with my dreams of nursing. I need you to check my wound, Dante said, breaking the moment. He stood, already unbuttoning his shirt. Luca changed the bandage this morning, but I want your opinion. He shrugged out of the shirt, and I forgot how to breathe. His torso was a roadmap of violent scars crisscrossing his skin, some old and silver, others newer. The fresh bandage on his side was stark white against tanned skin and dark ink. A tattoo covered his left ribs, a crowned wolf, teeth bared. See something you like? Amusement colored his tone. I stood, forcing my hands steady. Sit down. Let me see. He sat on the edge of his desk, watching me approach. I told myself this was professional, clinical. Just a patient and a wound. But when I touched him, peeling back the bandage, I felt the lie. His skin was warm, his muscles tense beneath my fingers. The wound looked good, no infection, edges clean. Luca had done solid work. It's healing well, I said, my voice rougher than intended. But you need to take it easy for at least a week. Not possible. Not negotiable. I met his eyes. You tear these stitches, you'll bleed out before anyone can save you. His hand came up, catching my wrist. Not painfully, just there, holding me in place while his thumb found my pulse point. Your heart is racing, he observed. You're bleeding on your desk. I'm not bleeding. His thumb traced a circle over my pulse. You're afraid again. Yes. Of me? I looked at his face, really looked at the sharp line of his jaw, the small scar through his left eyebrow, the way his dark hair fell across his forehead. Handsome didn't cover it. He was beautiful in a lethal way, like a blade in moonlight. Of myself, I admitted. Something changed in his expression, softened. Don't be. His voice was almost gentle. I told you I'll keep you safe, even from me. Why? The question escaped before I could stop it. Why go through all this? The job, the room, the protection? You could have just paid me to stay quiet. Because, he said, still holding my wrist, still feeling my thundering pulse. The moment you put your hands on me, you became mine, and I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet. He released me, reaching for his shirt. But you will be. It wasn't a question. Wasn't even really a statement. It was a prophecy, spoken with the certainty of a man who always got what he wanted. I should finish unpacking, I said, stepping back. Elena? I paused at the door. Thank you for taking care of me. I didn't turn around. Couldn't. It's my job now. No. His voice was soft but carried across the room like a touch. It was your choice. Everything else is just paperwork. I fled before he could see how much those words affected me. That night, lying in silk sheets in a room I didn't deserve, I stared at the ceiling and tried to convince myself this was temporary. A year of employment, then I'd leave, go back to my life. But deep down, in a place I didn't want to acknowledge, I knew the truth. There was no going back. Not from this. Not from him. Chapter 4. Blood in the Garden. I'd been at the estate for 3 days when the screaming started. It was 2 a.m., and I'd been half asleep when the sound jerked me upright, a man's voice, raw with agony, coming from somewhere below my window. I ran to the glass and looked out over the moonlit grounds. The garden. Movement near the hedge maze. Figures in the shadows. I should have stayed in my room. Should have pulled the curtains and pretended I heard nothing. Instead, I grabbed my robe and ran. The house was different at night, darker, more menacing. Guards nodded to me as I passed, but no one tried to stop me. They knew where I was going, knew what I'd find. The garden was beautiful in daylight, roses and fountains and marble statues. At night, it was something else entirely. A stage for nightmares. Dante stood in the center of the rose garden. Jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up. 3 of his men held a man on his knees, youngish, bleeding from his mouth, crying. "Please," the man sobbed. "Please, Mr. Marchetti, I didn't..." "Didn't what?" Dante's voice was ice. "Didn't sell information about my shipping routes to the Kozlovs? Didn't take their money? Didn't betray the family that's protected you for 5 years? I was desperate. My mother needs. Your mother will receive a pension." Dante pulled a gun from his waistband. "She'll never know what you did. That's more mercy than you deserve." "No, please, I'll do anything." I must have made a sound because Dante's head snapped toward me. Our eyes met across 15 feet of manicured lawn, and I saw him truly for the first time, not the man who'd thanked me, not the patient I'd bandaged, but the monster everyone whispered about. His face was empty of emotion, cold, calculating. "Go back inside, Elena," he said calmly. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The man on his knees was sobbing, begging, and all I could think was, he's going to do it. He's going to kill this man while I watch. "Elena, harder now. Inside. Now." "Don't," I heard myself say. "Please don't." Something flickered across Dante's face. "This doesn't concern you. Then why did your men let me through?" I forced my legs to move, walking closer. Why didn't they stop me? Because they're idiots. He didn't look away from me, but his voice carried. "Luca, next time my employee tries to wander into family business, you'll stop her. Understood?" "Yes, sir." Luca's voice came from the shadows. "Please," I said, stopping a few feet away. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." Dante's gray eyes were flat. "He betrayed us. He endangered lives, including yours. Mine? The Kozlovs know everything he told them. That includes you. Your name, your face, where you came from." He gestured with the gun, and the traitor flinched. "This man put a target on your back." The words hit like a fist. I looked at the crying man, saw him properly weak chin, expensive watch, terror in his eyes. "How much did they pay you?" I asked. He blinked at me through tears. 50,000. "And my life? How much was that worth in your calculations?" He had no answer. I turned back to Dante. "If you kill him, there will be retaliation. There will be retaliation regardless." He moved closer to the kneeling man. "This way, the message is clear. Betrayal means death." "And mercy?" I challenged. "What message does mercy send?" Weakness. "Strength," I corrected. "Anyone can kill. It takes real power to grant mercy." Dante stared at me. Around us, his men shifted uneasily. The only sound was the traitor's ragged breathing. "You don't understand this world," Dante said finally. "I understand that once you pull that trigger, there's no taking it back." I stepped closer, close enough to see the pulse in his throat. "I understand that you'll be the man who killed someone in front of me. Is that what you want me to see when I look at you? You already know what I am." "I know what you can be." I held his gaze. "Show me I'm not wrong." The moment stretched, the gun steady in his hand, the traitor's sobs the only sound. Then Dante's arm dropped. "Luca, take him to the warehouse. Lock him up." His voice was cold, final. "He'll work off his debt. 10 years. If he tries to run, kill him. If he talks to anyone outside the organization, kill him. If he even looks at me wrong, kill him. Yes, sir. The men dragged the sobbing traitor away. I stood there, shaking, as Dante slid his gun back into its holster. You shouldn't have interfered, he said quietly. I know. I should have ignored. You. I know that too. He stepped closer. Close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. Do you have any idea what you just did? Saved a man's life? Made me look weak. In front of my men. His hand came up, cupping my jaw. Not gentle, but not rough either. Do you know what happens to weak leaders in my world, Elena? They die, I whispered. They die. His thumb traced my lower lip. And everyone they've protected dies with them. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You'd do it again. His eyes searched mine. Wouldn't you? I would. God help me, I would. Why? He asked, his voice dropping. Why do you care if I kill traitors? Because the moment you become the monster everyone thinks you are, you'll stop being the man who thanked me in a bathroom. I reached up, covering his hand with mine. And I'm not ready for that yet. His jaw clenched. You're going to get yourself killed. Or I'm going to save you. I don't need saving. Yes, I said softly. You do. For a long moment, we stood there in the garden, blood on the ground and roses blooming around us, his hand on my face and mine over his heart. Then he stepped back, breaking the connection. Go to bed, Elena. And next time you hear screaming, stay in your room. Will there be a next time? He looked at me with those storm-gray eyes. Yes. I walked back to the house, my robe soaked with dew, my hands still shaking. Behind me, I heard Dante give orders in rapid Italian posting guards, changing protocols, dealing with the aftermath of his mercy. In my room, I stood at the window and watched him in the garden, alone now, head bowed. He looked tired, worn, human. Then he looked up, directly at my window, and I jumped back into the shadows. But I knew he'd seen me, knew he'd known I was watching. And God help me, I knew I'd keep watching, because monsters didn't hesitate to kill, didn't let witnesses sway them, didn't stand alone in gardens looking broken. But men did. And Dante, Marchetti was still a man, wasn't he? Chapter 5, when he showed me his scars. The next 2 weeks fell into a strange rhythm. I saw Dante every morning for wound checks, though his injury was healing well. He never mentioned the garden, never acknowledged that I'd seen him at his most dangerous. We existed in a careful detente, doctor and patient, employee and boss, nothing more. Except late at night, when I'd hear his footsteps pass my door, except when I'd catch him watching me across the dining table, except when our hands would brush and electricity would arc between us like lightning. It was Maria who told me about the nightmares. He doesn't sleep well, she said, kneading dough in the industrial kitchen. Never has, but it's worse lately. Since the shooting. I kept my voice casual. Has he seen a doctor? You think Mr. Marchetti would admit weakness? She shook her head. He's his father's son. Pride will kill him before age does. That night, the screaming woke me again. But this time, it came from inside the house. I found Dante's room by following the sound down the hall, last door on the right. 2 guards stood outside, faces carefully blank. Let me in, I said. Miss Rossi, we can't. He's injured and in distress. That makes it my job. I pushed past them before they could stop me. Dante's bedroom was massive, all dark wood and darker shadows. He was in the bed, thrashing, sheets tangled around his waist. His bare torso gleamed with sweat, and in the moonlight, I could see every scar, every mark of violence his body had endured. No, he gasped. Not him. Take me instead. Not him. I approached carefully, like he was a wounded animal. Dante, wake up. Papa. The word was ripped from him, raw with anguish. I sat on the edge of the bed, placing my hand on his shoulder. His skin was burning. Dante, it's Elena. You're dreaming. Wake up. His eyes flew open, wild, unfocused. His hand shot out, gripping my throat, and suddenly I was on my back, with 200 pounds of lethal mail pinning me to the mattress. Don't move, he growled, and the voice wasn't his. Wasn't anyone I recognized. It's me, I said calmly, even though my heart was trying to break through my ribs. It's Elena. You're home. You're safe. His pupils were blown, his breathing ragged. The hand on my throat tightened fractionally, and I felt my pulse pounding against his palm. Then recognition flickered. His eyes focused. Saw me. Dio. He released me immediately, rolling away. Get out. No. Elena, get the fuck out of my room Before you what? I sat up, rubbing my throat. Have another nightmare? Attack me again? I moved closer, ignoring the warning in his eyes. Tell me what you were dreaming about. Nothing. It was nothing. You were calling for your father. His jaw locked. I said it was nothing. And I'm saying you're a liar. I reached for the lamp, flooding the room with soft light. How long have you had these nightmares? Since I was 17. The answer came so quietly I almost missed it. I looked at him properly at the haunted expression, the white-knuckled grip on the sheets, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes. What happened when you were 17? I became what I am. He finally looked at me, and the emptiness in his gaze was worse than any nightmare. I watched my father die, and I didn't do a damn thing to stop it. The words hung between us, heavy with old pain. Tell me, I said softly. Why? So you can psychoanalyze me? Fix me? A bitter laugh. I'm not a patient, Elena. I'm not broken. Everyone's broken. Some of us are just better at hiding it. He studied me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he leaned back against the headboard. He was 45, strong, invincible, or so I thought. His voice was distant, remembering. The Kozlov family, different generation, same family, they wanted territory my father controlled. He refused to negotiate. So they killed him. In front of me, in front of my mother, in our home. His hand flexed, like he was gripping a phantom weapon. I was 17, unarmed, outnumbered, and I stood there like a fucking coward while they put 3 bullets in his chest. You were a child. I was his son, his heir. The self-loathing in his voice was palpable. I should have died protecting him. Instead, I lived, and every night, I relived my failure. I thought about the way he'd grabbed my throat, the wild look in his eyes. In your dreams, do you try to save him? Every time. And every time, I'm too slow, too weak, too late. Without thinking, I reached out and took his hand. His fingers were cold despite the warm room, and they trembled slightly before he clenched them into a fist. You know it wasn't your fault, I said. Logically, you know that. Logic doesn't stop the dreams. No, but maybe understanding does. I shifted closer, still holding his hand. You became Dawn at 17. Took over your father's organization. How many people depend on you now? 3,000, give or take. More if you count families. 3,000 people who need you to be strong, to be ruthless, to never show weakness. I squeezed his hand. But strength isn't the same as invincibility, Dante. And showing weakness to the right person isn't the same as being weak. He looked at our joined hands like they were something foreign. And you're the right person? I'm the person who's here. At 2 a.m, after you almost strangled me. I smiled faintly. That has to count for something. You should be terrified of me. I am. I brought his hand to my throat, pressing his palm against the place where my pulse still hammered. Feel that? That's fear. But I'm still here. His fingers spread across my throat, gentle now, reverent, almost. Why? Because you saved me first. In that bathroom, I held his gaze. You could have gone anywhere. Could have called your men. But you came to a diner in the middle of nowhere, and you let me help you. You trusted me when you were at your most vulnerable. That was different. How? Because I didn't know you then. Didn't know how you'd look at me once you learned what I am. And how do I look at you now? He searched my face, and I let him see everything, the fear, yes, but also the fascination. The pull I felt toward him despite every warning my brain screamed, the way my breath caught when he was near. Like I'm still human, he said finally, his voice rough. Like I'm worth saving. You are. You don't know the things I've done. I don't need to know everything to know that. I moved his hand from my throat to the bandage on his side, now mostly healed. I know you're human because you bleed, because you have nightmares, because when I asked you to spare a traitor, you listened. That was weakness. That was strength. That was choice. I kept my hand over his. You had the power to kill him, and you chose mercy. That's not weakness, Dante. That's humanity. He closed his eyes, and for a moment, he looked younger. Vulnerable. Like the 17-year-old boy who'd watched his father die. Stay, he whispered. Please. It was the please that did it, the raw need in that single word. I should have left. Should have remembered who he was, what he did, the blood on his hands. Instead, I slid under the covers beside him, and when his arm came around me, pulling me against his chest, I didn't resist. Just until you fall asleep, I said. Just until then, he agreed. But we both knew it was a lie. His heartbeat was steady beneath my ear. His arm was solid around my waist, and despite everything, the danger, the violence, the impossibility of us, I felt safer in a monster's bed than I had anywhere else in years. Elena? His voice was drowsy now, sleep pulling him under. Thank you. For not running. I pressed my palm over his heart, feeling it beat strong and sure. Thank you for giving me a reason to stay. He fell asleep holding me, his breathing evening out, his grip loosening but never releasing. I lay there in the darkness, listening to the wind against the windows, and tried to figure out when I'd stopped being his prisoner. When I'd started being his sanctuary. As dawn painted the sky pink, I carefully extracted myself from his embrace. He stirred but didn't wake, and I stood for a moment looking down at him, at the dangerous, broken man who'd somehow become important to me. What are you doing to me? I whispered, but I knew the answer. The same thing I was doing to him, ruining us both. Chapter 6. The night everything changed. 3 days later, everything went to hell. It started with a phone call during lunch. Dante's face went hard as granite as he listened, his knuckles white around the phone. When? A pause. How many? Another pause. Longer. Burn it. Burn everything. Leave no trace. He ended the call and stood, already moving toward his office. Luca. Victor. With me. Now. I caught his arm. What happened? The Kozlovs hit one of our warehouses, killed 3 of our men. His eyes were arctic. This is war, Elena. Go to your room. Don't leave until I tell you it's safe. Dante. That wasn't a request. He pulled away, and I watched him disappear with his men, the door slamming behind them. The house transformed. Guards appeared everywhere, armed with more than handguns now. Assault rifles. Tactical gear. The staff moved with quiet efficiency, securing doors and windows. Maria found me in the hallway. Come, Miss Rossi, to the safe room. The what? Mr. Marchetti's orders. All non-essential personnel to the safe room until this is resolved. The safe room was in the basement, reinforced walls. Multiple locks. Enough supplies for a week. 6 other staff members were already there, silent and scared. I lasted an hour before I couldn't stand it anymore. Where are you going? Maria called as I opened the door. To do my job. I grabbed the medical kit from the corner. If there's fighting, there will be injuries. Miss Rossi, you can't, but I was already gone. I found the war room on the 1st floor, a command center I'd never seen before, filled with monitors, maps, and enough weapons to arm a small country. Dante stood at the center, directing his men like a general. Hit them at the docks. Simultaneously, we end this tonight. He saw me and his expression darkened. What the hell are you doing here? Someone's going to get hurt. I should be ready. You should be safe. I'm safer here. With you. I met his glare with calm. You can't protect me from the basement, Dante. Luca cleared his throat. Sir, we need to move. The window is closing. Dante's jaw worked, but he nodded. Fine, but you stay behind the lines, understood? You don't engage, you don't interfere, you just patch up anyone who needs it. Understood. And Elena? He crossed to me, gripping my shoulders. If I tell you to run, you run. No arguments, no negotiations. You get in a car and you don't look back. I'm not leaving you. You will if I order it. His grip tightened. Promise me. I looked into his storm gray eyes and saw real fear there. Not for himself, for me. I promise. I lied. The convoy left at midnight, 10 black SUVs, armed men in each. I rode with Dante, Victor driving, Luca in the passenger seat. The medical kit sat heavy on my lap. The Kozlov family has been a thorn in our side for 30 years, Dante said, loading his gun with practiced efficiency. They think because I'm young I'm weak. Think they can take what my father built. He slammed the magazine home. Tonight, I teach them otherwise. How many men will they have? I asked. At the docks? 50, maybe 60. And we have? Enough. The docks were dark and industrial, all rusted metal and empty warehouses. Our convoy parked a block away, and Dante's men spread out with military precision. Stay in the car, Dante ordered. Victor stays with you. If anything goes wrong, I know. I run. He cupped my face, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. I'm coming back to you. Understand? You better. Then he was gone, swallowed by the night. The waiting was torture. I sat in the dark SUV, listening to Victor's breathing, straining to hear anything over the pounding of my own heart. 5 minutes, 10, 15, then the world exploded. Gunfire erupted like thunder, rapid, overlapping, endless. Victor's radio crackled with shouts in Italian and Russian. I gripped the medical kit, ready to dial her. The windshield shattered. Victor slumped forward, blood blooming across his chest. I screamed, diving for cover as more bullets tore through the vehicle. The back door flew open, and hands grabbed me, dragging me out onto the pavement. Pretty thing, a voice sneered. Russian accent. Marchetti's whore, yes? I kicked, clawed, fought, got a knee in my stomach for my trouble. The world tilted, and I was being dragged toward a black van, 2 men holding me, a third covering their retreat. Through my panic, I heard Dante's voice, roaring my name. Then he was there, rage incarnate, moving like death itself. He shot the first man in the head, without breaking stride. The second released me to draw his weapon. Dante broke his neck with his bare hands. The third ran. Dante let him go, dropping to his knees beside me. Are you hurt? Elena, look at me. Are you hurt? Victor is dead. Are you hurt? I shook my head, and he pulled me against him so hard I couldn't breathe. He was shaking, actually shaking with rage or fear or both. They touched you, he said into my hair. They put their fucking hands on you. I'm okay. You're not okay. He pulled back, gripping my face. You were almost taken. Do you understand what they would have done to you? Do you understand what I would have become if I'd lost you? The raw anguish in his voice stopped my protests. I told you to stay in the car, he continued, softer now. Why can't you just stay where I can protect you? Because I'm not something to be protected. I'm someone who stands beside you. He kissed me. There, on the blood-soaked pavement, with gunfire still echoing, Dante Marchetti kissed me like I was air and he was drowning. His hands were in my hair, on my face, pulling me closer, and I kissed him back with equal desperation. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. You're mine, he breathed. Say it. I need to hear you say it. I'm yours, and I'm yours. Whatever comes, whatever happens. I'm yours. Sir, Luca's voice. We've secured the area, but we need to move. The police will be here in minutes. Dante stood, pulling me up with him. Clean this up. Take the bodies to the usual place. And find the bastard who ran. I want him alive. And Miss Rossi? She comes with me. Always. He looked down at me. From now on, you don't leave my sight. Not for a second. I should have protested. Should have demanded independence. Instead, I took his hand and let him lead me back to the remaining vehicles. Because he was right. I was his, and he was mine. And in the dark, violent world we now shared, that was the only truth that mattered. Chapter 7. When loyalty bleeds. The attack changed everything. Dante became my shadow, or I became his. I wasn't sure which. He moved meetings to rooms where I could be present. Had a medical station set up in the war room. Refused to let me sleep anywhere but his bed. His arm locked around me every night. You're suffocating me, I told him a week later, trying to keep my tone light. Good. He didn't look up from the documents he was reviewing. Then you'll stay alive. I need space, Dante. No, you need protection. He finally met my eyes. 3 more attempts this week. The Kozlovs aren't backing down. 3? You didn't notice because we stopped them. Because I have 20 men watching you at all times. He set down his pen. This is my world, Elena. This is what loving me looks like. Loving. The word hung between us, unacknowledged until now. Is that what this is? I asked softly. Love? What else would you call it? He crossed to where I stood, cupping my face with hands that had killed but held me so gently. I think about you constantly, dream about you. The thought of losing you makes me want to burn the world down. His thumb traced my lower lip. If that's not love, then I don't know what love is. It's madness, I whispered. Yes, that too. He kissed me then, deep and possessive, and I forgot why I'd been complaining about space. Forgot everything except the taste of him, the feel of his hands on my body, the way he made me feel cherished and consumed all at once. The door burst open. Sir. Luca, out of breath. We have a problem. Dante pulled away from me reluctantly. What kind of problem? It's your sister. She's here. I felt Dante tense. Christina? Here? Now? Drove through the front gate 5 minutes ago. She's in the foyer, demanding to see you. Caso. Dante ran a hand through his hair. 2. Elena, stay here. No chance. I followed him out of the office. Christina Marchetti was standing in the marble foyer like she owned it, which, I supposed, she once had. She was beautiful, early 20s, with her brother's dark hair and gray eyes, designer clothes, expensive jewelry, and an expression that could freeze flames. Dante. Her voice was ice. We need to talk. Christina, what are you doing here? What am I? Are you serious right now? She laughed, bitter. You've been dodging my calls for 3 weeks. You missed my birthday. And now I hear through the grapevine that you're at war with the Kozlovs? She stepped closer. What the hell are you thinking? I'm thinking I'm doing my job. Your job is to keep this family safe. Not start wars. We can't win. We can win. His voice was granite. We will win. At what cost? She gestured around the fortified mansion. Look at this place. It's a prison. You're a prisoner, Dante. When was the last time you left the grounds? When was the last time you did anything that didn't involve blood and death? That's the life I chose. No, that's the life that was forced on you when Papa died. Her voice cracked. You were 17. You should have gone to college. Had a normal life. But instead, you became this monster? I supplied quietly. Christina's gaze snapped to me, noticing me for the first time. Who the hell are you? Elena Rossi. I work for your brother. Her eyes narrowed, flicking between us. Work for him. Right. Is that what we're calling it? Christina. Dante's voice held warning. How long? She demanded. How long have you been sleeping with her? That's none of your business. It's absolutely my business. You're my brother. My only family. She turned to me. Do you have any idea what you're getting into? What he is? Yes, I said calmly. I do. Really? Do you know he killed his first man at 17? That he's personally executed over 50 people? That the FBI has a file on him 3 inches thick? I know he has nightmares about your father. I know he carries the weight of 3,000 lives on his shoulders. I know he's the most loyal, protective man I've ever met. I stepped forward. And I know he loves you, which is why he's not telling you to leave. Christina stared at me. Then, slowly, she laughed. Oh, Dante, you really stepped in it this time, didn't you? Christina, she's in love with you too. I can see it all over her face. She shook her head. You always were all or nothing. An explosion rocked the house. Dante moved instantly, shoving both Christina and me behind him. Luca. Report, car bomb at the south gate. Luca's voice crackled over the radio. 3 casualties, unknown number of hostiles incoming. Get them to the safe room, Dante ordered, already moving. Now. I'm not going, I started. Yes, you are. He gripped my shoulders. They knew Christina. It was here. This is a coordinated attack. I need you safe. Please, Elena. Please. The please broke me. Okay. I'll come back for you. I swear. He kissed me hard and fast, then ran toward the sound of gunfire. Christina grabbed my arm. Come on. He's right, we need to move. We ran through chaos, guards shouting, guns firing, alarms blaring. Christina moved like she'd done this before, pulling me through corridors I didn't know existed. How did you know? I grew up here, she said grimly. I know every secret this house has. The safe room door was ahead. We were almost there when a man stepped into our path, tall, blonde, smiling, gun pointed at Christina's chest. Christina Marchetti, he said in a thick Russian accent. Alexei Kozlov sends his regards. Time slowed. I saw his finger tighten on the trigger, saw Christina's eyes widen, saw death coming. I moved without thinking, throwing myself in front of her. The impact spun me around. Pain exploded in my shoulder, white-hot, all-consuming. I hit the ground hard, the world tilting. "Elena!" Christina's scream sounded far away. More gunfire, shouting, the Russian falling, blood spraying from his throat. Then Dante was there, kneeling over me, his face paper white. No. Elena, stay with me. Stay with me! I'm okay," I tried to say, but blood filled my mouth. "Medic. Someone get me a fucking medic." Dante's hands were on my shoulder, pressing hard. "You're okay. You're gonna be okay. Look at me. Look at me." I looked. His eyes were wild, terrified. Dante Marchetti, who faced down armed enemies without flinching, was terrified. "Christina?" I managed. "She's fine. You saved her. You stupid, brave, beautiful woman." He leaned down, pressing his forehead to mine. "Don't you dare leave me. You promised to stay. You promised. Not. Leaving," I whispered. "Yours, remember? Mine. Yes, mine." His voice broke. "And I need you. Do you hear me? I need you to stay." The world was getting hazy, dark at the edges, but I could still feel his hands on me, still hear his voice, begging me not to go. So I held on. For him, I held on. Chapter 8. The Devil's Bargain. I woke to the smell of antiseptic and the sound of machines beeping. Hospital. I was in a hospital. Private room. Expensive equipment. Dante slumped in the chair beside my bed. He looked terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed, still wearing the blood-stained shirt from the attack. My blood, I realized. "Hey," I croaked. His head snapped up, and the relief that flooded his face was almost painful to witness. "Elena, thank God. Thank fucking God." He was at my side instantly, his hand cradling my face. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot." A shaky laugh. "The bullet went through. Clean entry and exit. You're lucky 2 inches lower and it would have hit your lung." "How long was I out?" 18 hours. Longest 18 hours of my life." He pressed his lips to my forehead. "Don't ever do that again. Take a bullet for your sister? Take a bullet for anyone, even me." He pulled back, and his expression was anguished. "Do you understand what it did to me? Seeing you like that? Seeing your blood? Now you know how I felt in that bathroom. This is different." "Why? Because you love me?" The machines beeped in the silence. Dante's thumb traced circles on my palm. "Yes," he said finally. "Because I love you. Because the thought of this world without you in it is unbearable." He brought my hand to his lips. "I've been making decisions while you were unconscious. Important ones." Something in his tone made my chest tighten. "What decisions?" "I'm ending this. The war with the Kozlovs, the vendetta, all of it." I must have misheard. "You're what?" "I'm arranging a meeting. A truce. Whatever territory they want, they can have it. Whatever money, weapons, influence, it's theirs." "Dante, you can't." "I can." He stood abruptly, pacing. "I can and I will. Because this?" He gestured at me in the hospital bed. "This is unacceptable. You nearly died because of my pride. Because I couldn't let go of a 30-year-old grudge. It's not just pride. They killed your father. And I've killed dozens of theirs. When does it end, Elena? How many more people have to die?" He stopped at the window, his back to me. "How many more people I love have to bleed before I admit this life isn't worth it? What are you saying?" He turned, and I saw it in his eyes, decision. Final and absolute. "I'm saying I'm done. After we broker peace with the Kozlovs, I'm stepping down. Retiring. I'll hand the organization to Luca. He's capable, loyal. He'll do well." "And then what?" "And then you and I disappear. New names, new city, new life." He crossed back to the bed, taking my hand. "I'll buy you a house by the ocean. You can go back to nursing school. I don't know. Learn to cook, garden, be normal. It was everything I should want. Safety, freedom, a future outside this violent world. So why did it feel wrong?" "You'd hate it," I said quietly. "I'd hate losing you more. Dante, you can't just walk away from 3,000 people who depend on you. Watch me. And what about Christina? What about your family legacy? Your father's memory?" His jaw clenched. My father's memory is why I'm in this mess. He taught me that power mattered more than anything, that you never showed weakness, never backed down, never compromised. He sat on the edge of the bed. And look where that got him. Dead at 45, murdered in front of his family. So you'll dishonor his memory by abandoning everything he built? I'll honor him by choosing to live. By choosing you. He cupped my face. Elena, I've been at war my entire adult life. I'm tired. I want peace. I want mornings where I wake up next to you and the biggest decision I have to make is what to have for breakfast. You'd be bored in a month. Maybe. But I'd be alive. We'd be alive. His thumb traced my lips. Let me have this. Let me choose you. The machines beeped. Somewhere down the hall, a baby cried. Outside the window, normal people lived normal lives, and I had a choice to make. I could take his offer, let him walk away from the darkness, from the danger, from everything that made him Dante Marchetti. We could have that house by the ocean, that normal life. Or I could do what no one else in his life had ever done. I could believe in him. No, I said. He blinked. What? I said no. I won't let you walk away. Elena, you think running makes you strong? Makes you noble? I struggled to sit up, ignoring the pain. It doesn't. It makes you a coward. And you're not a coward, Dante Marchetti. I'm trying to protect you. By becoming someone you're not. By abandoning your family, your people, everything you've worked for. I grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. I didn't fall in love with a man who runs. I fell in love with a man who faces his nightmares, who shows mercy when no one expects it, who carries the weight of 3,000 lives because someone has to. You're asking me to choose my family over you. I'm asking you to choose yourself, your true self. I held his gaze. End the war, yes. Broker peace with the Kozlovs. But don't step down. Don't walk away. Be the Don your father never was, the one who values life over pride, who protects his people not through fear, but through strength tempered with mercy. And you? What about keeping you safe? You keep me safe by being who you are. By being the man strong enough to change this world from the inside. I pulled him closer. I knew what I was getting into, Dante. I'm not asking for normal. I'm asking for you. All of you. The darkness and the light. He stared at me, conflict warring in his eyes. You could die. We all die. The question is whether we live first. You're asking me to risk you, to let you stay in danger. I'm asking you to trust me, to trust us. I pressed my hand over his heart. I'm not a civilian anymore. I'm not someone who needs to be hidden away. I'm the woman who stands beside you, who saves your sister, who talks you down from nightmares. I smiled. I'm your Elena, and you don't get to make decisions for me. A long silence. Then, slowly, he smiled, really smiled, for the first time since I'd woken. My Elena, he repeated. When did you get so brave? The moment I let a bleeding mobster into my bathroom. He laughed, the sound surprised out of him, and kissed me. Soft at first, then deeper, pouring everything into it, relief and love and surrender. When we broke apart, his forehead rested against mine. You're sure about this? About staying in my world? I've never been more sure of anything. Then we do this my way. You get proper security training. You learn to shoot. You never go anywhere without guards. Agreed. And you marry me. My heart stopped. What? He pulled back, and in his eyes I saw forever. Marry me, Elena Rossi. Be my wife. Stand beside me not as my employee or my lover, but as my partner, my equal, Dante. I don't have a ring. I don't have pretty words. But I have a promise. He took both my hands. I promise to protect you, to cherish you, to let you challenge me when I'm wrong. I promise to be worthy of your faith in me. I promise to build a better world, not by running from the darkness, but by bringing light into it. His voice dropped. And I promise that every day for the rest of our lives, you'll know you're loved. Tears spilled down my cheeks. That's a lot of pretty words for someone who claims not to have any. Is that a yes? I thought about the girl I'd been a month ago waitressing at a rundown diner, dreams deferred, life on pause. I thought about the blood on my apron, the fear and danger, the impossibility of everything that had happened. And I thought about the man in front of me, broken and dangerous and trying so hard to be better. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. He kissed me. Again, And somewhere outside, the real world continued. The Kozlovs plotted. The organization waited. Danger lurked around every corner. But in that hospital room, we had each other. And that, I was learning, was enough. Chapter 9. Blood and Vows. The Kozlov meeting happened 3 days later in neutral territory. An abandoned warehouse on the waterfront, each side bringing 10 men. No more, no less. I insisted on going. Absolutely not, Dante said for the 10th time. I saved your sister. That makes me family. I checked my reflection, the gun holster hidden under my jacket, the small blade strapped to my thigh. Christina had been teaching me to shoot. I wasn't great, but I could hit center mass at 20 feet. And family stands together. Elena. Besides, I'm your fiancé now. I turned, adjusting his tie. What kind of message does it send if I'm not there? He caught my wrists, his expression torn between frustration and admiration. You're going to be the death of me. Or the saving of you. We haven't decided yet. He kissed me hard. Fine. But you stay behind me. Always. Behind you. Got it. The warehouse was exactly what I expected, concrete and shadows, rust and danger. The Kozlovs were already there, a line of hard men in expensive suits. At their center stood Alexei Kozlov himself, 60-ish, silver-haired, with eyes like winter. Marchetti, he said, you asked for this meeting. I did. Dante stepped forward, and I stayed close behind him. 30 years of war, Alexei. Don't you think it's time we ended it? Your father didn't think so. My father's been dead for 16 years, and I'm not my father. Dante's voice was calm, controlled. I'm proposing peace, real peace, a permanent truce. In exchange for what? The Brooklyn docks, the shipping routes through New Jersey, and 50 million in reparations. Murmurs from Alexei's men. The terms were generous, too generous. It was everything the Kozlovs had wanted for years. And what do? You get out of this deal? Alexei asked suspiciously. No more dead men, no more attacks on my family. Dante's hand found mine behind his back. Squeezed once. Peace. That's what I get. The great Dante Marchetti, offering surrender. Not surrender, evolution. Dante's voice hardened. But make no mistake, this offer expires in 60 seconds. After that, we go to war properly. No half measures, no restraint. I'll burn your organization to ash and salt the earth behind me. Alexei studied him for a long moment. Then his gaze shifted to me. And who is this? My fiancée. Elena Rossi. The one who took a bullet for your sister. Alexei smiled, all teeth, no warmth. Brave girl. Or stupid. Both, I said before I could stop myself. But mostly brave. Alexei's smile widened. I like her. She has Sila. Strength. He looked back to Dante. Very well. I accept your terms. The war ends today. Just like that? Just like that. Alexei stepped forward, extending his hand. My grandfather wronged your father. Your father wronged my father. We've both lost too many good men to this vendetta. Time for new blood to break old cycles. Dante took his hand, and I watched history shift. One condition, Alexei said, still gripping Dante's hand. The girl. She stays with you, yes? Yes. Good. Because if she ever needs sanctuary, if you ever turn into the monster your father was, she has a place with us. She saved Christina. That makes her Pacan. Family. He released Dante's hand. Do right by her, Marchetti, or I'll finish what we started here today. It wasn't quite a threat, more a promise. Strange, coming from an enemy becoming an ally. We left the warehouse an hour later with signed agreements and tentative peace. In the car, Dante pulled me against him, his hands shaking slightly. It's done, he said into my hair. It's really done. You did it. You ended a 30-year war. We did it. If you hadn't taken that bullet, if you hadn't made me see that running, wasn't the answer. He pulled back, cupping my face. You changed everything, Elena. You changed me. I didn't change you. I just reminded you who you already were. Who I want to be, you mean? No. I kissed him softly. Who you are when you let yourself breathe. When you remember you're human. Chapter 10. Monsters and Men. The wedding happened 4 weeks later. Not some massive society event, just family and close associates in the estate's rose garden. The same garden where I'd watched Dante almost kill a man, where I'd learned that monsters could show mercy. Christina walked me down the aisle, her arm linked through mine. "You know," she whispered, "I hated you at first. I know, but you're exactly what he needs. Someone who isn't afraid to challenge him, to keep him human." She squeezed my hand. "Thank you. For saving me. For saving him. Thank you for teaching me to shoot." She laughed. "You're still terrible at it. Practice makes perfect." Dante waited at the altar in a black suit, Luca beside him as best man. But when he saw me, everything else disappeared. His eyes went soft, vulnerable in a way I'd only seen in our darkest moments. I walked to him through roses and guards, and the weight of everything we'd survived. The priest carefully vetted and generously paid cleared his throat. "We are gathered here today." I barely heard the ceremony, too focused on Dante's hands holding mine. On the way, his thumb traced circles over my pulse point, on the promise in his eyes. "I, Dante Alessandro Marchetti, take you, Elena Marie Rossi, to be my wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part." His voice never wavered, never hesitated. "My turn. I, Elena Marie Rossi, take you, Dante Alessandro Marchetti, to be my husband, to challenge when you're wrong, to support when you're right, to stand beside you in the darkness and remind you of the light. Through blood and danger, through nightmares and peace, through everything this life throws at us, I'm yours. Until death, and maybe even after that." Not the traditional vows, but nothing about us was traditional. Dante's eyes shone with unshed tears. "You improvised. Someone taught me that breaking the rules can be the right choice. You may kiss the bride," the priest said, clearly eager to finish and leave this dangerous place. Dante pulled me close, his hand sliding into my hair. "Mrs. Marchetti," he murmured against my lips. "Mine. Yours," I agreed. "And you're mine." The kiss was deep, claiming, full of promises both sweet and dark. Around us, his men cheered rough, dangerous men who'd seen us both bleed, who'd watched us fall in love in the middle of a war. When we broke apart, Dante pressed his forehead to mine. "Thank you," he whispered, so only I could hear. "For choosing me, for choosing this life. Thank you for letting me." The reception was controlled chaos, too much wine, too much food, too many toasts that walked the line between heartfelt and threatening. Alexei Kozlov sent a gift, an antique Russian samovar, and a note that read, "To peace, and to the woman who made it possible." As the sun set, Dante pulled me away from the crowd, leading me through the garden to a bench hidden among the roses. "I need to tell you something," he said, suddenly serious. My stomach clenched. "That sounds ominous." "Not ominous. Just true." He took my hands. "This peace with the Kozlovs, it's fragile. There will be people in my organization who don't like it, who think I've gone soft. Have you? Maybe. For you." He smiled faintly. "But I need you to understand the danger doesn't end. It never really ends. There will always be someone looking to take what we have. Someone who sees you as my weakness. I know. And I need you to promise me something." His grip tightened. "If it ever comes down to a choice, the organization or you run. You take whatever money you need and you disappear. You don't look back. Dante, promise me, Elena. Please." I looked at this man who'd changed my entire life, who'd pulled me into darkness but shown me that darkness could have light, who'd killed to protect me and made peace to save me. "I promise," I said. "If it comes to that choice, I'll run." I cupped his face. But I also promised to fight like hell to make sure it never comes to that. He pulled me onto his lap, holding me close. Around us, roses bloomed blood red in the fading light. Guards patrolled the perimeter. Music and laughter drifted from the reception. "Tell me something," I said softly. "Do you regret it? Any of it?" "Which part?" "Walking into that diner, letting me help you, bringing me into your world." He was quiet for a long moment, his hand tracing patterns on my back. "I regret that you got hurt, that you've seen violence, that I've brought danger to your door." He tilted my chin up. "But regret knowing you, loving you? Never. Not for a second. Even though I made you show mercy, made you choose peace? Especially because of that." He kissed me softly. "You made me better, Elena. You made me the man I always wanted to be but didn't know how. You were always that man. You just needed someone to see it. My Elena. He buried his face in my hair. What did I do to deserve you? You bled in a diner bathroom and trusted a waitress to save you. He laughed, the sound free and genuine. Best decision I ever made. We sat there as darkness fell, wrapped around each other, listening to the party continue without us. And I thought about the girl I'd been scared, stuck, dreams abandoned. I thought about the monster I'd met, bleeding and dangerous. I thought about how sometimes the scariest thing we can do is let ourselves be saved, and how sometimes saving others is how we save ourselves. Dante? I said softly. Thank you. For the roses, for the job, for seeing me when I was invisible. He pulled back, his gray eyes luminous in the moonlight. Elena, I was dying when I walked into your diner, not just from the bullet, from everything, from the weight of who I was, what I'd become. His hand cupped my face. And then you touched me, saved me, looked at me like I was worth saving. His voice dropped. You didn't make me visible, Amor. You made me human again. Tears spilled down my cheeks, and he kissed them away. Come on, he said, standing and pulling me up with him. Let's go back to our wedding. Dance with me, Mrs. Marchetti. One dance, I agreed. Then you're taking me upstairs and showing me exactly how human you can be. His eyes darkened with heat and promise. Is that an order? It's a plea, and a threat, and a promise, my favorite kind. He laced his fingers through mine, and we walked back toward the light and music and our impossible life together. Behind us, the roses released their perfume into the night air. Guards watched from the shadows. The world spun on, dangerous and beautiful, and ours. And somewhere in a diner across the city, a new waitress wiped down counters and dreamed of something more. But this story, our story, was already written in blood and roses, in mercy and violence, in the space between monsters and men, where love grows fierce and wild. This was our beginning, our always, our choice. And every day from here until forever, I would choose him. My monster, my mercy, my Dante.